lamb stew. It's such a cosy stew to have in your repertoire. And usually, if you're cooking this the classic way, it takes about 1.5 to 2 hours to cook. But I'm going to show you how fast it is to cook in my pressure cooker. You know how much I love pressure cooking. This is going to take about 35 to 40 minutes. So I've given myself a head start. In the pot, you'll see some parsnip, carrot and onion. And I've just been cooking them off in a little bit of olive oil just to get some colour. I'm going to take them out of the pot and place them into a bowl. Now, my meat of choice is lamb shoulder. Lamb shoulder is a fantastic secondary cut. It's got a bit of fat through it, a bit of sinew. It is the perfect stewing lamb. You definitely don't want anything lean here. And I've cut it into about 2 to 3 centimetre pieces. So that can go straight into our pressure cooker. And we'll just separate the meat. And what we're wanting here is to get some colour on the meat because that's going to give the flavour to the gravy that's going to develop as it pressure cooks. A pinch of salt, and you can't have a stew without a delicious thick glossy sauce, so we do need to add some flour. You only need a tablespoon of flour for this just to get that gorgeous consistency. And you do want to add it now just to cook it off slightly. So once the meat has some colour, and you can see it's looking pretty good now, we can add about a tablespoon. So sprinkle that in. And just give that a really good stir to coat all the meat. Just cook that off for a moment and then we can return our veggies. So in with our veg and coat that. Smelling great. And some thyme. Now I'm using some lemon thyme. If you can't get it, just use the classic thyme. So a generous big handful of that can go in. And some tomato paste to give it a lovely rich flavour. Some pepper, good crack of pepper, some white wine to deglaze. Now you'll see that come up to the boil fairly quickly. And for some liquid, so I'm using some chicken stock. You don't need as much as you would traditionally cooking a stew. You just want it to cover the stew. So you'll need about 500 mils of the liquid. Because this is cooked under pressure, a lot of the liquid won't evaporate. Now for our potatoes. What you can do is grab your Desiree potatoes. I'm using big fat Desirees here. I'm not peeling them, I'm just leaving the skin on. I'm going to cut them into 1 centimetre chunks. The reason I make them 1 centimetre is so they cook in the same amount of time as the meat. And I'm just going to form a little rose shape on top. So essentially, you've got this delicious thick stew on the base and then perfectly cooked potatoes on the top. So what I like to do is just turn the heat down for a moment and we'll start on the outside and just arrange the potatoes. So we'll start with the larger interior bits of the potato and keep the thinner ones for the centre. So it's going to look quite pretty as this cooks. So you may need 2 to 3 potatoes depending on how large your spuds are, and just keep pressing them in, and then once you've done the exterior, we'll just use the smaller spuds just to fill in all the gaps there. So no wasting of any of this potato. Go in there. Last few little bits. Now we need to season the potato, so a good pinch of salt over the top. Be generous with the salt with the spuds. They love salt and they also love some butter. So a few knobs of butter over the top. Want about, I'd say 10 to 15 grams. And just use your hands just to dot it over the top. So spread that out. It's looking good. Okay, that's it. So the lid can go on. We're going to lock it into place. Now, this is a really good quality pressure cooker, so it's completely safe. And of course, it's going to cook this quite fast. So we're going to just place it on pressure cooker. And when you're cooking with a pressure cooker on a stove top, you need to know that you need to bring it up to pressure. So you'll start to hear it sizzle and hiss. Then we're going to turn the heat down to medium to low and we'll start cooking that for 35 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to serve this with a delicious French-style pesto made up of parsley, garlic and lemon. I've released the pressure and let's have a look at this beautiful stew. Oh. See how the potatoes have kept their shape? They haven't been disturbed throughout that cooking process. And look at that beautiful gravy. That's what we're after. So let's plate up a portion. Potatoes are definitely cooked. And this is why you want to use Desiree potatoes, because they hold their shape nicely. And let's get some of that gorgeous stew. And we'll get a generous spoonful of that beautiful meat and lots of that gravy. Fantastic. Now, this is delicious as is, but this really does brighten the whole thing up. Think parsley, garlic, olive oil. It's really fresh, so just a drizzle of that over the top. And I kind of like that pop of green. Instead of just chopping parsley over it, adding that lemon too really makes a difference. That is a gorgeous lamb stew. It's got a bit of a French twist to it, slightly Irish there. You've also got that Lancashire style with all the potatoes on top. Anyway, it doesn't matter where it comes from. All I know is that's a slow cooked dish done fast in the pressure cooker.